In 2006 we did something unforgivable. We stripped it of its title, erased it from our solar system. We called it a dwarf, a leftover, a mistake. But when we finally sent a spacecraft 3 billion miles into the outer dark, what it found changed everything that we expected: a frozen rock, dead silent, forgettable. Instead, we found a world with mountains that float across oceans of poison, skies that bleed red snow, and a giant beating heart made of frozen toxic gas for 76 years. We called it a planet, then we threw it away, but Pluto was never gone. It was never dead. It is a beautiful, frozen nightmare at the edge of everything, and this is its true story. Imagine launching into space at 36,000 miles per hour, faster than any rocket ever built by human hands, and still, it takes 9.5 years to get there. As you push deeper into the void, the sun begins to change. That blazing star that gives us life slowly shrinks. It fades, until it looks no different from any other point of light in the black dot by the time you reach Pluto. Sunlight is 1,000 times dimmer than a cloudy afternoon back home on Earth. If you stood on its surface at noon, the sky above you would not be blue, it would be pitch black, a permanent, freezing twilight. In the summer of 2015, our cameras finally pierced the dark, and right there, stretched across the equator of this forgotten world, was a shape no one expected: a heart, giant, perfect, glowing pale white against the rust-colored terrain. The internet called it adorable, a cosmic love note, a sign from the universe. Scientists knew better. That heart is not a symbol of love. It is a massive impact basin 1,000 miles across, filled with a churning, boiling sea of frozen poison that named it Sputnik Planitia, a glacier made entirely of solid nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide, 3 of the deadliest substances on Earth, frozen together, alive. Here is the part that should terrify you. This glacier is not dead. Deep beneath Pluto's surface, its radioactive core still holds a faint ghost of heat. That warmth rises, and when it meets the bottom of the frozen nitrogen sea, something extraordinary happens. The glacier boils, not violently, not like anything you've seen, but slowly, relentlessly. Enormous pillars of frozen nitrogen rise from the depths, cool at the surface, and sink back down. The entire sea is turning over, like a massive, slow, freezing engine, and anything that lands in it never comes back. Asteroids that slam into this toxic sea don't leave craters. They get swallowed, dragged down, dissolved, erased forever. It is the cleanest surface in the entire solar system because it consumes everything it touches. Now stand at the edge of this poison sea and look toward the horizon, because what you see next will break your brain. Rising from the shores of Sputnik Planitia, mountain ranges that rival the Rockies peaks, soaring over 11,000 feet into the black sky. Not made of granite, not made of rock. Made entirely of solid water ice. At -375 degrees Fahrenheit. Water ice doesn't behave like the stuff in your freezer. It becomes rigid, dense, strong as steel, jagged, razor-sharp peaks holding their shape for billions of years. But here is where it gets deeply unsettling. Water ice is less dense than frozen nitrogen. So these mountains don't stay put. They float. Entire mountain ranges the size of the Alps break free from the surface and drift slowly across the poison sea. Like colossal, silent icebergs, moving through the white at a pace too slow to see but inevitable. And if you look closely at the peaks of these floating mountains, you will notice something that doesn't make sense. The snow is not white. It is dark, blood red. Pluto's thin atmosphere contains methane gas. When the faint ultraviolet light from the distant sun strikes that methane, it triggers a chemical reaction that creates complex organic molecules called tholins. These tholins fall from the sky like a slow, eternal, crimson rain, coating every surface, every peak, every frozen plain. In a layer of dark red dust, a world of floating ice mountains, stained red in permanent darkness for decades. We assumed Pluto was frozen all the way to its core. Then the physics stopped adding up. Weight of Sputnik Planitia should have to cause the entire planet to roll over. The gravitational imbalance is simply too great. But Pluto never rolled. There is only one explanation that works. Something massive is hiding underground, acting as a counterweight, directly beneath the glacier. Scientists now believe that miles below Pluto's frozen crust, in complete and total darkness, there is a liquid water ocean. Kept from freezing by the crushing pressure of the ice above. Kept alive by residual heat from below. Liquid water in the coldest, most distant corner of our solar system. And wherever there is liquid water on Earth, no matter how dark, how cold, how impossible, we find life. Which means the question has to be asked, is something swimming in the dark beneath Pluto's ice right now? We simply do not know. As our spacecraft sped away into the deeper dark, it turned its camera back one final time and captured something that made scientists cry. With Pluto eclipsing the sun, its atmosphere lit up a thin, glowing ring of brilliant blue surrounding a silhouette of pure black. Pluto has a blue sky out there. In the dark, at the edge of everything, a world we abandoned has a blue sky. But Pluto does not face this existence alone. locked in a permanent gravitational dance, is its largest moon. Charon is so massive compared to Pluto that the two don't orbit each other like a normal planet and moon. They orbit an empty point of space. Between them a binary system, two worlds circling nothing. They are tidally locked forever. If you stand on one side of Pluto, Charon hangs in the sky, massive, unmoving. It never rises. It never sets. It just watches you. And if you walk to the other side of Pluto, you will never see Charon at all. Charon has its own scars. Its north pole is stained with a massive dark red mark called Mordor macula. That stain is gas that escaped from Pluto's atmosphere, rifted through the void between the two worlds, and froze onto the surface of its moon. Two exiled worlds, sharing the same bleeding sky, holding onto each other at the edge of our solar system, spinning wildly around them are four tiny, chaotic moons. Nix Hydra Kerberos sticks tumbling unpredictably through the dark, like broken pieces of a forgotten collision. The final guardians of a frozen kingdom. We stripped away its title. We called it a dwarf. We moved on, but Pluto never needed our permission to be extraordinary. It is a world of red snow and floating mountains, of underground oceans and a beating, freezing heart. It has a blue sky, and a moon that wears its breath like a scar. Pluto doesn't need our validation. It was there long before us, and it will still be there, continuing its silent dance in the dark, long after our sun burns out. But as strange and beautiful as Pluto is, its silence is a mercy, because if you leave the outer solar system and travel just a little closer to the sun, the silence disappears. It is replaced by a deafening roar, a giant blue monster where winds scream at 1,200 miles per hour, shredding the atmosphere apart, and the rain is made of solid diamonds. But that is a story for another time. Keep looking up, stay curious,